4,000 kilobits, 7,151. Okay. Hello, it is day 25 of our digital service agent. It's going to be really short here starting today. We just want to talk about the experiment we're running and what we're learning from the different pieces of ad copy that we've put out. So we're going to start with the documentation. So starting a business is, or an entity, let me say, not a business. Starting a business is relatively easy. You can wake up today and start a business. The second part to that is making it official, right? So coming up with an entity and structure that your city, state, government, the public, and other private partners will recognize, right? So you might need an LLC or a corporation, right? So the process of going about organizing these documentation could be difficult, could be tedious, could be easy. It's as easy as filling out forms, essentially. But it's a process that you have to continuously keep up with. So every year you have to do an annual, you could call it a reauthorization, or just redeclaring the business or the entity still exists, and it's still operational, right? So these are the few things that come when it comes to maintenance, admin, work in running an entity. So we're testing the experience there and how people currently are experiencing what it's like to become official or to create an entity structure that's recognized by their state, such as an LLC, an EIN with the IRS, a DUNS number, which helps you as a person or an entity to get access to liquidity, capital, so you can make different investments and credit, debit, all of the good stuff when it comes to operating a business, right? So the entity structure is a gateway to more capital, more recognition, to trust, and these are the things that are not necessary to the business, right? Your day to day, it's very different, but it's a part of the process, right? It's like a foundation of the business. But anyway, not to harp too much on that. We're just curious about what that process looks like. We haven't spent a ton of capital in learning in the space right now. So today we're actually going to do a cut, a trim and cut focus on just a specific set of questions that we have. So the first question that we have is it difficult for people to create these entity structures legally? And the way we're learning about that is by doing a demand test in the market, by putting an ad out that says, hey, make your business official. These are things that you might need. Are you curious, right? So that's the test that we're running. And we've got, so far, some of the numbers are a bit questionable because they kind of contradict each other. So link clicks, for example, we have 3 link clicks. And this is the number of clicks on links within the ad that led to advertiser specified destinations. So it's saying we had 3 clicks, but we are getting 1 landing page view. So that's quite a contradiction. So we're going to go in here and double tap on exactly what that might be, right? So it doesn't look like there's any other links. So yeah, it's a little bit of a contradiction, but that's a part of the process. So we have to kind of filter out the noise and focus on the signal. So the signal here is 1 landing page view. So not the best in terms of my excitement here, right? Like I'm not really seeing a huge strong demand. It's possible that it could be there, and it's too soon to tell. And the sample size right now that we have is super tiny anyway. So we're going to take a step back and take a look at the other pieces of the data that we've been looking at, right? So we've also been looking at a few of these, and I'll just kind of zoom in on these. We've been taking a look at a few of these and trying to help them build a website, essentially. So one aspect of managing your business is having some type of online presence, internet presence, let's say, and having it filtered and organized in a way where it's easy for people to find different resources that you provide and be able to interact with it without you having to be the key man in that operation. And what that means is the person can interact with the resource that you provide without. Ooh, and how do we accomplish that? That's a good question. The way that we accomplish that, let me make sure this is good. Excelente. The way that we accomplish that is by keeping track of very important data pieces, right? One is calendar and availability when it comes to you as a person, or someone on your team as a person, because a person might be trying to schedule a time with you. The next piece is an actual infrastructure that you manage. So let's say it's a building and you want to allow people to be able to rent it at a certain period of time. So that building also has its own availability and calendar, right? So that's a resource that needs to be managed essentially, and there are a lot of different rules around how that resource could be managed that you don't have to do in real time, but the system could kind of take and handle that, or at least that's the idea, right? To reduce the amount of manual operational work that a person would have to do. So we've been taking a look at HVAC, landscape, med spa, events, and real estate. Some very interesting things that I've seen so far. Of course, we are reaching a lot of folks in general, but we want to get an idea of what the signal is, not the noise. So here, we're seeing some pretty good traffic that is at least kind of engaged to it. We're seeing 20 link clicks on real estate and 16 from med spa, 5 from events, 4 from landscape, 3 from HVACs. And a cost per click is important, guys. It gets you an understanding of how much it costs for a person to click on something. So the lower this is, the probably the potential that there's a higher volume of demand in that region or in that area. The lower you can get this to 0, the better off you are, because then you're in a space of infinite opportunity, basically. So we want to see numbers that are closer to 0. So it looks like these are quite high volume. So and this is still low significant. What is the word? It's low statistical significance because it's a low volume of people that we've tested on so far. So you can't conclude that this experiment is a guaranteed, right? It's a hypothesis still. The way you validate this is with more testing. So you need more volume of testing to give you statistical significance, and that's what we're looking for. We are not even anywhere remotely there yet, right? So the cost per clicks we took a look at. So the landing page views, I'm seeing 13 and 10 in the double digits. Landscape and HVAC are tied, and events we're seeing just pretty high up. So what I'm going to do today, guys, is trim, like I mentioned. Trim and focus, I think right now would be really interesting to get a good picture of what we're looking at in this space. So right now we're going to cut a couple things out and focus on a few things, right? So, okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to punch this down because, unfortunately, right, it's not giving us the data point that we want. There's no point in keeping very broad when we can focus a little bit more and optimize, right? So we're going to cut that. And then the second one, we're just going to take a look at these two are basically a tie. So there's a chance that one kind of gets a leg up. I'm not sure which one of the two would be. I'm compelled to kind of keep them running, but for the sake of being very, very strict, these two are going to have to kick it as well. Okay, so that's fine and dandy now. So we've kind of cut. Now we're going to try to do a little bit more of focus, right? So let's jump back. Let me triple check. Okay, looks good. Okay, we're gonna have to head out in a bit here, guys. But I did want to just do a little bit of an update, keep up with the experimenting. And what I'm going to do here actually is I'm going to bump up the amount budget for the real estate. We're going to do 8. 8 is my new magic number. Used to be 7, but 7 got a little basic, so I had to upgrade to 8. Okay, so we got 2 of these on 8. This I am really interested in. I think we might have to take another look at how we position this. I think the wording might be a little bit too rigid. But a couple other things I think are interesting to experiment with are with banking. So banking would be like grants and credit. I think credit is going to be really interesting to navigate because it's just access to capital potentially that a person could get. Now there's a bunch of service providers that already exist, so I don't have to source the funding myself. It's more about just doing the documentation, facilitating the document transfers between parties, and just being a part of that document flow, right? So we could help with that, but then also it's about validating the demand that exists, properly qualifying people, so the conversion rate of the people that are coming in are actually qualified for these grants, these banking structures, right? Like, so that's why it feels like a funnel, because there are a ton of things to get right? Like, for example, you can't get credit as a business if you don't have a LLC or an EIN or a DUNS number, right? So there are a lot of prerequisites that people need to qualify for example, but this is not personal, right? Like, this is not personal financing. Now, you could do personal financing, right, for yourself, but this is more so focused on entity structures and how to navigate legal, banking, and other things. I have some other questions about like notary. So I spoke with a guy at Upstart. So they're one of the biggest financial instruments in the world. I'll say in the US mostly focused. But they focus on loan origination. I think they've done 50 billion in the last year, or correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, they basically are the plumbing system behind how people get personal finance loans. Some types are secured loans, so it's backed by a car, let's say, and some are unsecured loans, so it's like a personal loan to you as a person. And there's a ton of things behind that, right? Like, of course, you have your credit score that you're using to get a gauge of if a person's going to be reliable to pay back. But then there are other signals that you could potentially take, right? Like, you could take employment as a signal. You could take a guarantor, or like someone that's going to double sign with the person. There are a bunch of other signals you can use to validate credit worthiness. Now, it's still risk, so that's something to navigate as well. But these instruments, large instruments, already have frameworks that they've done it within. The big side of it is just like, how do you fit into the frameworks and connecting the resources together? So these are questions that I have. I have not validated them. That's why they're in the experiments bucket. But I think the core focus that we're going to be kind of pushing on is the website product again, and the media product is doing pretty okay for us. So we currently use it. We haven't validated how it drives traffic to any products yet. I think maybe its best bet, honestly, is probably just affiliate marketing, but I'm not quite invested in that direction. I have been using it to create short videos. The stats have looked pretty good for me, and in terms of just seeing some type of I would say time return is pretty good. I kind of find things that I'm interested in, and I create short videos out of them, thinking people will enjoy them. And I think people kind of do, some people. So that has been looking pretty good. So it does kind of validate to some extent that there's some demand for short form videos, which is what I was trying to test. Now, I think the real meat is going to be in generating new content, but that's quite difficult. It's really hard to produce good quality content. So right now, just basically sourcing people that already have good content that I resonate with and resharing that in a different format. But The real interesting question would be, how do you drive that into actionable traffic, like people that take actions, people that are part of a community potentially, and what does that look like? So those are the questions that we have. Those are the hypotheses we're testing. One more thing I do want to touch on is referral programs. I think are really strong because it's a really like just and usually early on in a product, it's super informal. It's just like your first user or like the first business partner that you get or a client, you just talk to them and say, hey, like help me do this, and usually they're excited to help you because like you just helped them out. Like you just got them a big win. You got them a big, like, they've been looking to try to get something done and you help them get it done like in no time or whatever the case may be, right? You made it seem easy. And so they're going to give you that testimonial. They're going to recommend you. They, will refer you potentially. So that's usually how you get like your first couple clients. One thing that would be interesting to explore is how do you like create a framework around that. There are already tools that exist that do this well and help you kind of structure it. So that's how I'm going to explore what are those tools, what does it look like, what is the current landscape, and how can we customize it to our needs, our benefits, and the community that potentially will be coming from our side. So that's something I'm curious in. I think real estate is really interesting because it's a pretty connected community, so it'll be fun to learn about that. And right now what we're running is basically build your real estate website in 5 minutes, right? So we're seeing some demand from real estate websites, and I think that is great because real estate agents, let's say if it's an agent or an investment group, they have partners and they have colleagues. So it's not just one person, right? So this gives you access to a network of people. So I'm curious. I also come from the real estate world. I'm a realtor in Chicago, so that would be interesting to connect with more folks in real estate. So I haven't niched down into any specific areas, but I'm going to keep exploring. I'm going to keep testing. I'm going to ask more questions, and maybe I'll try a couple other forms of questioning, but it would be nice to maintain volume. So we're going to explore what that looks like. Anyways, today, day 25, I just want to do a quick update on where we're at, where we're going, and then we're going to catch up on day 26, right? So this is my way, honestly, to just document and keep track of the progress of this. I'm going to look back on this like, a year from now, whatsoever, and just like look and see like what the process looked like, right? So that's interesting to me. It's easier for me to live stream these versus thinking about like, oh, I'm going to record it and then edit and do all that stuff. So I rather just like do a live stream and like keep myself accountable with like thinking about the process, updating my notes, walking through my thought process, and then coming back and like looking back at things in the future and then looking forward and seeing like, okay, how has this progressed over time? What enforced our decisions, right? And also keeping me accountable in terms of like continuing the process. I want to see this get to day 100. I want to see this get to day 300, 500. I don't know, right? We're going to keep count and see how far we can take this. So that's the question right now, and we're going to explore that. All right, guys, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.